All right.
All right.
Tyler says it works. Apologize for that. I don't know. I guess because I unplugged my computer and replugged stuff in, OBS just forgot what it was supposed to look for. Computers are weird.
Well, it's all good, you know. You finish your move. You have your new desk set up. We just did a bunch of explaining about things behind us, but we won't repeat it because it's already on the podcast recording.
Yes,
But yeah.
viewers of YouTube, go check out the podcast and get that extra bit of 2-minute content. You know what I'm saying?
that silence. Let's talk to Seamus. Seamus, it's been a while since you've been on here. I think last time we talked to you was right before you left to go see CM Punk.
Yes.
And you hung out with a listener. You hung out with Wyatt from Columbus, Ohio.
Yep. We went to see the first episode of AW Collision.
How was that?
I'm gonna say not great. But I don't know how much that is like. I thought the crowd was fairly shit, and then I watched the TV and I was like, okay, maybe we were just like too far away. But I think a lot of it is like I'm used to like the biggest. I think that place holds like 20,000 people, and there was maybe 8 or 9,000 there. And like the biggest, I'd say, wrestling show I've been to before this was like a 6,000 seater that was full. I don't know how much of this is like, you know, if you go to see wrestling in places not set up for wrestling, they're not that great. It's like how the Tokyo Dome is actually really meant to be shit because it's too big.
Oh, so if you go to Wrestle Kingdom, their big show in the Tokyo Dome is actually kind of a bad show to watch.
Yeah, because like the further like the noise goes up as opposed to like Budokan or Sumo Hall, which are like literally built for you to watch sumo wrestling. So it's like ideally set up for, you know, watching, I don't know, like professional wrestling. Like Corkin like only holds like what, 1,200 people.
Right.
Like most of the shows I went to were like 500 or 200 or 300. Like that was like, oh, it's sold out, it's max capacity, and you're like 50 feet from the ring. You can hear everything. It's like weird. We could only hear them when they fell on the ring, but like anything else, you're just watching them.
Like watching the TV on mute with people around there reacting.
Yes. But it was interesting from a like seeing like during the ad breaks they don't do picture in picture. It was either like Tony Schiavone or is it Dasher her name? They like come out and like talk to the crowd and are like, oh, anybody here from this or that, or pointed out CM Punk signs in the crowd.
Oh, nice. But you didn't get your free ice cream.
No. But Punk did say it's next time, and I think they've got what? They're coming back for Dynamite Collision and a pay-per-view in September, so... But yeah, I don't think I'll be making a return to AEW anytime soon. To be fair, I think what's the WWE are doing Survivor Series, and I think Impact have whatever their October pay-per-view is all in Chicago, so... But I'm like, this is
Wait, when in October is that? Is that the end of October?
No, Impact have some pay-per-view, I can't remember the name of it. It's Bound for Glory, but I think that's happening in like October in Chicago.
Because end of October, I'll be in Chicago. I'm going to see my brother.
Of the three of them, the Impact one was like maybe I'll go to an Impact show, because like, I don't care for WWE, AEW was way too long. I'm like, maybe Impact might be worth going to.
I wonder if it'll line up when I'm going to Chicago so I can go with you.
I think they've announced the dates already, because they're doing like, I think they did like one show a while back, and they were like, oh, we're doing now, and we're doing some other date, and then we're doing pay-per-view and like whatever. I think it's October. I'd have to look it up. I think GCW, who were another show, did a show like last Friday, but I bought the tickets and then I looked at the lineup and I was like, there's 2 matches here out of 7 I want to see. We're not traveling an hour there and an hour back for that, so fuck that.
Well,
I continue to have a generally low opinion of American wrestling.
I love it.
Or in the case of AEW, TV wrestling.
But they also do house shows now, right? So
They do, but I don't think they're going to do them in Chicago. Like the house shows are in like places they'd never go for a Dynamite or a Rampage or a Collision. Kind of like WWE are same, like it's, I don't know, Huntsville, Alabama, or Huntington, I don't know.
right.
It's where like TNA used to originally aired. They did a show there. Like Jeff Jarrett was back wrestling there for the first time in God knows how many years.
Oh, that man is busy right now. He's doing a lot of stuff. Well, yeah, let's move along from wrestling talk, because technically we are a manga podcast, and we are supposed to talk about manga stuff. But I want to do a Manga Mac Bump. Hashtag Manga Mac Bump, Darfox.
Hell yeah.
Did we do one last week?
No,
I don't think we
I
did.
don't think so. Last week we were off.
Or are we doing it for the Keebler? What could me on those cookies?
Oh, that's right. I told Seamus to get some American Keebler cookies.
Specific
Which one did you get?
I told him to get
Fudge
the fudge
strips.
the
Yes,
fudge stripe.
I like fudge stripes, yes.
What do you think, Seamus?
Very nice.
Yeah. I
Did
had
you-
them. Go ahead.
I think they have another one. It's like fudge and mint that I was like, maybe we'll get that next time.
Yeah, those are the cookies I had a lot growing up. My mom would she did not buy us a lot of sweets, but those were the cookies she was comfortable buying us. And you know, I had them again recently. They are a lot more chocolatey than I remember, and a lot bigger. I think they used to be way thinner. So they're kind of nice. So since I told James to get it, I guess this week's hashtag Mugamac Bump is go eat some Keebler fudge stripe cookies.
I don't know. Chris Ray said nope.
I'll also mention IVC root beer because that's now what I'm drinking. Made of real cane sugar, not that fake American sugar.
Well, Cliff is saying he only eats organic and vegan cookies.
That's yeah. I don't think I've ever had vegan cookies.
Oh, whatever. Since Chris is like complaining about like fudge stripe cookies.
Oh no! He said nope for last week. Sounds like he might be down for the fudge stripe cookies. Nope, he didn't do
Oh,
anything
good.
last
Yeah,
week.
eat those cookies. Eat the cookies.
Eat the cookies.
Keebler fudge stripes. Hashtag Mugamac Bump. They're surprisingly good. Okay, let's move along from our Mugamac Bump, and let's talk about an email. I have an email from Chris from Canada.
What?
Also, we have a question in chat from Cliff, so I want to answer that as well. But let's read this email first. Manga Map Bump, now the Nerdability Bump today. Hey team, running the Manga Mac Bumps has been fun for the ones I can accomplish or have time to do, but this time I want to offer something fun for you all, the listeners/viewers to try. The Nerdability Bump this week is to check out the show Taskmaster on YouTube. It's a British comedy game show where comedians compete in doing wacky tasks in the most bizarre ways or the quickest. They have full episodes and seasons available on YouTube, completely free and legal, hosted by the show themselves. Some wacky tasks include film an upside-down video, best one wins. Make a catapult and fling the shoe into the tub. Eat as much of this watermelon as possible in 2 minutes. Most eaten wins. While these may not sound funny, you definitely need to watch the show to see how it all goes down. He also put a link for the first season.
I'm gonna say don't do that. As someone who is like, if there's one thing I have no time for, it's British comedian variety shows. It's like they should all be just lined up and like publicly executed.
But it's novel for us. It's novel when we see British television. It's like, oh, they're so dry and polite or whatever.
Yeah, it's like people being like, oh god, this peep show thing is amazing. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's like half a dozen of these things and they're all the same shit.
I mean, that's true for Japanese variety shows as well. It's all the same.
Exactly. It's like that's it. It goes like, I'm like, there's so many British ones. There's so many quiz shows. Oh, it's atrocious.
Yep.
On talk shows. I don't know, do they still have them, but like all the channels had their own like panel of comedians and guests talk about the events of the week with funny quizzes.
That sounds
Christ.
like Japanese variety television programming as well.
A lot of like TV in Chile was like that as well, and I wonder if just like America is the odd dug out, where we're the ones that don't really have variety TV shows. But like,
Well, I think the British ones are all like just a half-hour show of just that. They're not like I don't think they're like the really long shows like you have in Japan, and I think Korea is the same. It is just, I think that whole like a bunch of comedians just talking inane bullshit, that's still there.
Do they have a lot of subtitles? Because in Japanese variety TV shows, or Japanese television in general, they like to like put up giant subtitles of what people say when they think that's like a funny line or whatever.
No, they don't.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, what do they have?
I'm gonna start doing that just live, just frantically like typing out a subtitle for something we said and swing at a noise.
See, that's the problem. Like, you
No,
need
no,
to.
no,
It
no
needs to
context
happen
for
in
what's
time.
actually being said. Like it's just like random words.
Oh, there is an end to this email. Your friend Chris from Canada, Pisu. Oh fuck it, bring on him back. I hate this heat. Thank you for your email, Chris. Unfortunately, your idea has already been shut down by Seamus. I'm sorry.
I'll check it. I'll check some of them out. I'll do it. I haven't been burnt out by decades of living underneath fucking like English cultural imperialism.
To be fair, I've seen very little of these shows because I never would watch them of my own volition. But the little I see, it's immediately like I think I've seen maybe like half an episode of Taskmaster, maybe an episode scattered over like a number of months, and I was just like, just kill them all. I think it's because they're British comedians. I think that's just it. I think I just like I'm just like, get rid of them. Just get rid of them.
Damn.
Except for Jack Whitehall, I think he's a fan of AEW. Sure, keep him around till Wembley, till after Wembley anyway. Might get a few
Okay.
tickets out of him.
You know, I think a month or two ago, I was watching some random YouTube, and it sent me a recommendation for a Japanese variety show, but it's like all with Japanese voice actors, like for the anime and stuff. And I watched a little of that, and they had one where they're trying to find out like the generation of, they're trying to make a generational history line of like where voice actors fall under. And that was pretty fascinating because it was, you're listening to like super veterans being like, oh, you know, I'm fourth generation. They're like, no. If you're fourth generation, that knocks us down to like 10th generation. And so people talking about, you know, people who are above them, below them. If they're below you, you don't have to, you know, you can talk down to them. Some pretty funny stuff. So that was fairly entertaining. I think it helped because it was not comedians as well. I mean, some Japanese comedians are funny, I guess, but
I don't know. He's funny.
yeah, I still like Game Center CX. That's not really a variety show, though.
No, but he is a traditional comedian.
Yes.
Just that's not really what his comedy is like. I assume. He has like regular Japanese stand up stuff going on, but like.
Oh, yeah, but he definitely doesn't do that anymore. You know, he's graduated from just doing stand-up routines and probably just, like, is now, like, a host and established personality is what they call them.
Yeah. He's living the dream. He doesn't have to work the fucking CD bars and do all, like, the grind.
Yeah, and the competitions and everything and try to get noticed. You know, there's a manga about, like, Japanese stand-up by the Death Note guys.
I feel like you spoke about it before. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, Shoha Shoten. We have an upcoming Dark Fox Dabbles in our schedule, so I think we'll be talking about that in a couple weeks. I'll have Dark Fox check out a little of that. Oh, it's not the actual Death Note team. It's the artist. Takeshi Obata.
All right.
But the writer is different.
Oh.
It's not the
broke up.
sexist guy. Not the Platinum Man Death Note guy. Yeah, I know. Tyler says he enjoys it a lot in our chat. I know Tyler likes that manga. We'll end the email there. Thank you for your email, Chris. If you send us emails, send them over to mangamachinations@gmail.com. But since we're answering questions, I want to go back up into the chat where Cliff asked, if y'all have time today, I have a question. What are some great action adventure manga that are great reads? Think Dragon Ball Z, Demon Slayer, Naruto type stuff. Dark Fox, you're up to bat. He wants a shonen action adventure.
Wait, what's the example he gave? Dragon Ball Z,
DBZ.
Demon Slayers. I mean, like, Black Clover, we'll talk about it a little later. I definitely recommend Black Clover. You know, people really like Fairy Tail. Like, all the people all the young people I work with who are like into anime and manga, they're like a big. So I don't know if just like the generation that's just like right before me, like Fairy Tail just became their Naruto for some reason, but like Fairy Tail is a pretty popular one. I never really got into it, even though I read like all of the ending. Like I read like the last like 9 months of its publication before it ended.
That's a great Manga Max story. Where Dark Fox was like, I started reading Fairy Tail, and I was like, oh, that's great. You started the beginning? I was like, no, I just started with the newest chapter. I'm just reading to the end.
Yeah,
And it was like 3 volumes from the end. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, sir?
yeah, like I think this is the ending because it looks like everybody's going to war or something, and it was the ending. But yeah, I don't know.
Cliff says he likes Black Clover already. He's watched the Fairy Tail anime. It's fantastic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna suggest Golden Kamuy. That's something a little bit more seinen, a little bit more adult, but is technically just a
Just
really
a
good
fighting
action adventure.
Yeah.
It's kind of gory. There are people getting their faces ripped off by bears, so you need to be ready for that.
This is a little bit of a dark horse candidate, and Dagozo won't like this. But if you haven't seen it, G Gundam, I think it's very, very good. Gundam is not like shonen anime, but G Gundam is the one weird spin-off where it's basically just a battle manga. But they fight in robots. But like a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same plot lines and character archetypes from like Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho, they exist in G Gundam, where you have these righteous characters, but the most important thing in their life is martial arts and getting stronger and learning more about themselves through fights and meeting friends through fights. So it's like a less political Gundam, although it still talks about kind of like I guess it tries to give lip service to like the philosophical ideal of war and combat and stuff. But really it's just like, oh, I need to revenge my brother Kiyoshi, and then he's just like, fighting a bunch of fighters from all over the world. It has a very reminiscent bent to like Street Fighter because there's a lot of stereotypes. It's borderline racist at times. I would say it's actually racist at times because they go all across the world to fight the strongest warriors from different countries. And not only do they fight the strongest warriors, but they fight within the Gundam. So the Gundam is usually themed as something from the country. And like I think the most egregious example people like to mention is Neo Mexico's Gundam is Tequila Gundam. It just has like a sombrero and like a cactus coming out of his shoulder. It's just like a really goofy looking Gundam. But it's one of those rare instances where, in my opinion, like the insensitivity comes from a place of like genuine like I guess you could say ignorance. And it doesn't come off as offensive, it more comes off as fun and goofy. But I guess your mileage may vary with that. I still highly recommend G Gundam, even though it's.
Is there an Italian Gundam?
Yes.
Is there an American Gundam and it's just like a big gun?
Yeah.
No, the American
American
Gundam
type.
is like a football player.
Yes, the American Gundam is called the Maxter Gundam, and it's a football player, but it also has boxing gloves. But it does also take out a gun and shoot. It does have like an actual pistol. So yes, it kind of covers all the bases. French is Rose Gundam, and it's all like romantic and rose like. China is the Dragon Gundam. Yeah,
Yep,
Dragon
of course.
Gundam. Russia is the Bolt Gundam. It's kind of like has like a big mace. I guess it's kind of like worker themed. And what was the other?
Italian Gundam?
The Italian Gundam. There's definitely Italian Gundam, but I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, okay. So the Italian Gundam. So actually, the first episode deals with Italy, but like it's so part of the plot is that every country elects like a person to be their representative, and in Italy for some
It's like
reason,
Eurovision.
yeah, kind of. in Italy, for some reason, like there was like a gangster or somebody who like took over the elections, or maybe he was the strongest, so they had no choice to elect him. So like it's just some guy, kind of he had like a Mad Max motif. I don't remember what it was, but like it was like Italy Gundam was pretty weak. Yeah, I'm sorry to say. The German one was there's a couple of them where they really don't try to theme it after the country. The German Gundam is the Shadow Gundam, I think, or something. It's basically like a ninja. And that kind of ties into the plot a little bit. So sometimes it doesn't have like a heavy theming, although maybe it might have had some vague, like uniform aesthetic to it, as if it was like a military uniform. I won't say the name, but I don't quite remember. Holland had like a fucking windmill on it. It was pretty stupid looking.
Of course.
Yeah. But like
Was there like a Korean Gundam?
I don't remember. This would be a good thing.
Was there any Gundam from the continent of Africa?
Yes. I forget what it was called, but it was like zebra themed or something, and it might have had like.
Holy shit! I'm looking at this thing. It looks so bad.
Okay, wait. I can put it on stream. So link it to me.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, there it is. Yeah, I seize it. All right, let me.
Did they at least give it a country, and they weren't just like Africa Gundam?
I don't remember specifically.
It's from Neo, Kenya.
Neo,
You
Kenya.
know what? To be fair, I was like, if it's Tanzania or Kenya, I'd be like, fair enough.
Holy shit! Look at that thing on our fucking stream. Not great for podcast listeners, but you can Google it. Gundam Zebra. Literally Zebra Gundam. I appreciate Darfox just kind of leaning into the camera space.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, Dar.
Yeah, so I actually, G Gundam is really a strong recommendation if you want that vibe of a big cast of characters who fighting is like the most important thing to them, and they have their own goals and their own ideas, but like through fighting they kind of grow and kind of like get to know each other, kind of thing. It's very martial arts.
Very shonen.
Oriented.
Yeah. I have a good manga suggestion for Cliff. Kaiju number 8.
Oh yes.
That's eventually going to be an anime soon. But I still think it's a little bit off. It's basically a world where kaiju or big monsters like Godzilla exist. And the main character works as a cleanup crew member, but he dreams of becoming a member of the defense force that fights them. And very Shonen Jump fashion, this man gets infected by the kaiju and becomes kaiju number 8, but retains his humanity. Oh, Darfox just put an image up on our stream. Yeah, it's on the Shonen Jump app, so if you still have a subscription for that, Cliff, you can read that.
And we talked about this manga a couple times. So there's a couple episodes that I was talking about at least the beginning of the manga. The manga goes places, but
yeah,
it's a really strong setup. I like the beginning of the manga.
It's well drawn. It's very popular. People like it. Like I said, it's getting an anime. I think that's a maybe a little bit more unknown series. Cliff looks like he hasn't read it yet, so yeah, check it out. Dar, you're killing me with this fucking camera on the stream.
The problem is that the camera is supposed to be where my face is, but because the setup is completely different, that crop is just like it's over here. My face is all the way over here, so like.
Every time Darfox puts an image on, he then leans into where the camera space is. The way he's waving right now, it's great. But yeah, I hope we gave enough suggestions for Cliff because I want to move along. So yeah, see, if you jump into our live recording, you can just ask questions on stream or comment, and we'll try to read them as we go. So, or people should come join us. I know Vicky wanted to join us, but we always start at 7 p.m. So I know it's too late for UK time. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll think about moving it up one of these weeks.
Seamus knows all about that.
Not for the moment.
Not right now.
Yeah,
Seamus
not-
in USA now, baby.
How it's all about that Central Time. Central USA time.
That's right. Okay, let's move along from questions and let's do a little bit of what you been reading. Seamus, you're gone for a while. I know you are in the middle of reading something, but we're going to make an episode out of it later. So, do you have anything else you read while you were gone?
No.
Okay. Dar, it's not what you've been reading, but what you've been watching for you.
Oh yeah, I've been watching a bunch of stuff. I guess we could start off with the big thing, and then we do the quick shots of the other stuff. But the big thing that Dogsy, you watched with me was the Black Clover film. Long time coming. I guess you said COVID messed it up. It got torpedoed by COVID hell, COVID production hell.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because they spent more time with it that they decided to kind of like amp it up and make it more ambitious, or if they just their idea from the start. But it's not a bad movie. In fact, if you're a Black Clover fan, I would call it like a must watch. But I would warn people that it's kind of too long, and like it's only like okay. It would be better if it was like just 90 minutes and it focused on Asta, Noel, and some of the fan favorites. But one of the problems with Black Clover, this is a good problem to have in the anime, but a bad problem in a movie setting, is that it has too many good characters. Whereas like, you really want to see all these characters shine at least a little bit, and I think that's what the production team wanted to kind of do, but it just kind of made the movie super bloated, and in trying to like showcase everybody, it ended up like not having anybody really have a really good showcase after all, because it was spread apart. It was spread across like, I don't know, 20 characters. How many characters had like a moment in that movie?
I can say more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a valiant effort, and also the animation. Like I started watching the Dragon Ball Z movies recently with Lightning Bolt, who a friend of the podcast. He's been on the YouTube channel. And another friend
He
we
plays
have,
Mahjong with us on Mahjong Machinations.
Yes, Mahjong. If you want to play Mahjong, no pressure. Most of us suck, especially me. Go on Mondays. Go to our Discord server and play Mahjong with us. But we started watching it with another friend of ours called X, who does not like anime. But we're sort of forcing him to watch it for fun. But we're also it's kind of like an exchange, because there's a bunch of movies. LB's pretty young. He's on the younger side, like early 20s. So there's a bunch of classic movies he hasn't seen, like Rambo, for example. So like we're doing kind of like an exchange where X is watching Dragon Ball Z movies. Which, by the way, these Dragon Ball Z movies, they're like 50 minutes long. They're really short. Like they're ridiculously short. And then in exchange, LB watches a movie, and these movies can be really, really, they could be regular movie length. So I guess you could say X is winning on this one. But the reason I brought it up is because like these Dragon Ball Z movies, they're pretty nicely animated. They hold up even today. That's one of the benefits of just watching one of these movies, is that like they look pretty slick. And they do the thing where like, you get to see the characters shine and they have their moments. But in Dragon Ball Z, they don't even have to worry about like 6 characters, 7 characters, not that many characters. In Black Clover, you got so many characters, and then the animation is not like, the animation is better than what it was in the anime series, but the anime series was so poorly animated that like it's not that good anyways. Like like I would say it's like it reaches competent level of TV anime level of animation in this movie.
There are some spots that are a little better, but they're not that often.
And the plot is kind of like what you would expect from one of these like shonen, films. It's just like a villain appears and he has like a devastating power and a bad plan. So like all the characters have to show up and try and stop him. I guess it's a little bit unique in the lore, in the sense that like the villain is a former wizard king, which we've seen very little of the Wizard Kings in the lore of Black Clovers, and this one we get to see like 4 extra Wizard Kings, which is kind of fun. But it's just like it's still super basic. It's just there's not much to it.
Yeah, bad guys show up all of a sudden. They have a fight. They need a magic MacGuffin to stop them. It doesn't go well. They get beat up. They gotta regroup. You know, everything seems dire, and then Asta makes a empowered speech. And then that's halfway into the movie, and the rest of the movie is a fucking hour-long, like, multiple action scenes and fights. And it just... I was watching it with my wife, because we had watched the Black Clover anime. And my wife was just like, it just goes on forever. This never ends. And it doesn't ever end.
Yeah.
Also, like, I thought they were going to make a movie out of the next part of the story because the anime never finished the whole story. Obviously, it's still... The manga's still ongoing now, and it's in the final fight. But I thought they were going to animate the next part of the story. I told my wife, hey, we're going to watch this, and it's going to be the next part of the story. And then we started watching it, and it was totally something original. I was like, well, I guess we're in it for now. And then we finished it, and we're like, welp. That sure was some more Black Clover. You know, Dark Fox, my main thought about this Black Sword of the Wizard King, this movie, I feel like this signifies where Black Clover is right now.
Like
Black Clover is, yeah, it used to be super popular. The anime people liked, even though, you know, a lot of people said it wasn't that great. Except for like 1 or 2 episodes that were really done well. Black Clover has entered its final stage and it's doing its climax, but the popularity of that manga has just dwindled. It's constantly in the back of Weekly Shonen Jump, which signifies that the popularity is bad. Like, in comparison, My Hero Academia is ending as well. And that's still in the top front. Like, that's still very popular. I feel bad for both Yuki Tabata, creator of Black Clover, and Kohei Horikoshi, who is the creator of My Hero Academia. They are dying. I can tell they are struggling so hard to try and get these final chapters out.
They're working
just being
hard.
crushed. Yeah, they are like working down to the wire, having to constantly, you know, put out a chapter, take a week off. I feel for them. The weekly manga schedule is just killing them. Literally killing them. I hope they both finish out and just like retire well. But yeah, this movie, it was released in theaters in Japan. I don't think it's doing well. It was released worldwide on Netflix. I don't think this is ever going to see like a theatrical release. Maybe it saw a theatrical release. I don't know. I feel bad. And at this point, Dar, I don't think we're going to get an anime covering the end of Black Clover. Unless it's going to be like how they're doing the end of Bleach right now. And the 1,000-Year War anime.
Right.
And that took how many years since like Bleach anime stopped?
Like
a
10,
decade?
yeah.
Like over a decade at this point? Before that came back? Maybe we'll see like a Black Clover anime again in like a decade. I don't know. It's just not doing well. I feel bad. I've got an alert that AEW Collision starts very soon. But we recording.
What's gonna get more ratings, us or Collision? Us, motherfucker. CM Punk ain't gonna save that company. He might fucking bury it. We don't know.
Anything else to say about Black Clover, Sword of the Wizard King?
No, I want to
mention?
I want to talk about other stuff.
Okay, we'll move along from Black Clover.
Okay, I want to talk about something else. Before we talk about the other thing we watched together, I watched with LB and another friend of ours. I watched My Adventures with Superman. I think that's the name of it. It's a new cartoon on, I think it's on Adult Swim and on Max, the HBO streaming service. Or I guess now it's Warner Bros. Discovery streaming service. There's 2 episodes out at the time of recording, and it is so wannabe anime. It's pretty okay at like emulating anime for the most part, but it's still like obviously like Western anime. In that the way sometimes they try to copy anime tropes is a little bit uncanny. Um, but in general, what that translates to is a pretty easy to watch show about Superman that kind of just focuses on Clark Kent, and it's like early Superman where he hasn't established himself as a hero yet. He moved to Metropolis from Smallville, and he's trying to live a normal life, but of course he can't because he can't stop helping people. Um, and then like there's this background conspiracy that's happening with like stolen technology. There's like these robots that are stolen, and the bad guys who stole them are trying to find a buyer. And Lois Lane is an intern at the Daily Planet, but she's trying to, because Lois Lane's whole character is that she's very gutsy. She's always trying to get the story. So even though she's an intern, she's trying to investigate this really dangerous thing that's way above her pay grade, and she's not supposed to be. So she's going behind Perry White's orders, and like basically dragging Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen to like this really dangerous investigation that leads to some fight scenes and stuff. I'd say I'm pretty positive on it as far as just like a Superman cartoon. I like the emphasis on it. I like his portrayal of his superpowers. He doesn't seem like the kind of you know how sometimes Superman is so powerful he could fly around and push planets around and rearrange the solar system. He's definitely not like that strong. It's more just like he's a really strong guy that could fly around because he was even getting like black eyes and stuff. He was getting like punched out by the robot. So if you're interested in watching kind of like some white anime, that's like DC superheroes themed, check out the My Adventure of Superman. You might like it. Also, Superman is voiced by Jack Quaid, who's like in everything now, but he does a pretty good job at it. I think he's a good. I like Jack Quaid as an actor, but I think I like him more as a voice actor. He's pretty good. I like him.
Jack Quaid's the guy from The Boys, right?
Yes. He's also Boimler in that Star Trek cartoon. That's pretty good too.
Are they making a live action version of that?
So there's a crossover episode with Strange New Worlds, which is another Star Trek show. And the cartoon takes place like a few years after the Next Generation, but this show that it's going to cross over with it's like a pre Captain Kirk show. It starts Captain Pike, the Enterprise captain before Captain Kirk. So it's basically like the characters from Lower Decks, which is the cartoon. They're going to travel back in time and meet Captain Kirk, and they're probably going to geek out because the whole thing with Lower Decks is that it's a very self-aware tongue-in-cheek show where the characters are basically like Star Trek fanboys and fangirls. So they talk about like Star Trek like fans would sort of. It's very silly. So I'm sure they'll geek out and be like, oh my god, I'm meeting Captain Pike and stuff like that. It's gonna be weird because like the two characters the two cartoon characters that are going to appear in the Star Trek show are the same voice actors, but they look a lot like the characters that they play in the cartoon. So like it's almost perfect. That like rarely happens, right? Usually, people who do the voice acting look nothing like the cartoon character they're voice acting for. But this is a unique situation, I guess.
Not this green-skinned character.
No, she's not in it. But I think she doesn't look that different as far as I know. Like they're all in the ballpark. They could probably figure it out.
Okay, Dar.
You want to talk about the other thing?
I want to talk about Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero, because the anime started. Seamus was not here for this triple dip when we did this. The anime started, and we watched it. We watched that first episode. What do you think, Dar?
I liked it. It's interesting the choices they made in adapting the manga. They definitely softened the blow of some of the edgy stuff, the sketchy stuff in the manga, including the character like trying to date underage girls and stuff like that. That
Or doing drugs. Yeah.
doing all that stuff was kind of extracted, and it was kind of replaced with like he's having affairs with like married women and stuff like that.
Or cheating on 10 different women at the same time.
Yeah, which is still like scandalous stuff for like a celebrity, but it isn't like, trying to fuck a 16-year-old or whatever the fuck it was in the manga. So that's probably smart decisions to like ease up on that stuff, which is like that was a lot of the manga. And it's a little less pervy. I mean, it's still very pervy. Like, I think that like if somebody who's never read the manga watches anime, they'll come away from the anime saying that was a very ecchi show. It's very like perverted.
They don't know.
But they don't
haven't
know.
Seen the manga.
Do they know? No.
Do they know? They
No.
don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah, the one demon secretary character, Xenia, she wears this like swimsuit thing, and in the manga, like her complete ass is showing from the back, and they covered that up, made it more of a low-cut swimsuit. But it doesn't change the fact that you still get, direct camera angles of her butt when she's like wrestling with a demon lord child. It's like a straight-up shot of her crotch. Like
it's not as egregious as something like Prison School, but it's the same idea as Prison School, where like they're having dialogue and exposition, but for some reason the camera's hanging out underneath the crotch or inside the butt or just nonsense like that.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of show. It's very horny, but it has a good plot and funny characters, and just the concept is a very kind of it's a typical kind of remix on, like, it's not an isekai, but it's a typical kind of remix you'd have on like I guess you could say of a fantasy hero party versus demon lord type trope. Yeah. It's
a Dragon Quest situation.
Yeah, you get a Dragon Quest type situation. It's like the setup isn't that unique, but it's pretty well communicated. And I think I'm interested. I'm definitely gonna watch more.
Yeah, I thought the production for that anime was a lot higher than whatever I was expecting, and so I was pleasantly surprised watching it, being like, it's acted well. It's it doesn't look cheap. I'm looking forward to seeing what other things they're gonna need to cover up or change. I want to see more of the girl in the closet, because that's a good gag. That, for whatever reason, this like one room hero has Sadako living in his closet, and nobody knows why.
Yeah. It's like it doesn't fit the motif at all. It doesn't fit like the whole hero party versus demon lord. It's just Sadako.
Yep.
But it's really well done. It's pretty funny.
Maybe I'll watch it with my wife. We'll see. Dar, anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's all I have.
All right, since we've been talking about so much anime, I'll just end with talking a little bit about the past season of anime that happened. So I finished watching the Hell's Paradise with my wife. It's so funny. My wife's comment about that show is like, I have no idea what the fuck is happening. She's so confused about like the plot and everything, because like it's so weird, that premise of like a bunch of convicts during the samurai era going to this weird island full of like monsters and creatures looking for an elixir of life. That show looks amazing. It looks so good.
Yeah.
Being done by Mappa. And it's just funny because my wife was so confused. But yeah, I recommend people check it out. They wrapped those 12 or 13 episodes, whatever it was, and they're going to take a break and they'll come back with some more later. Also, Oshinoko ended its season at 11 episodes. I told this to Lightning Ball, and he was pissed. He was like, what? They didn't do a full thing? I was like, bruh, the first episode was like 4 episodes combined. What did you expect?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but Oshinoko was fantastic. Everybody was talking about how good Oshinoko was. It was a huge hit. We kind of left off with the teaser for the next story arc, which is the musical, the 2.5 adaptation musical. They're gonna do a stage play based on a manga. Yeah, exactly. So that's gonna be happening next. That'll be good. And then I guess I could mention really quickly the new season of Jujutsu Kaisen started. So my wife and I watched the first episode, and she was very happy that that show's back. And that first episode of the new season, they did such a good gag that my wife was loving it. It was like so much more animation than you can expect out of. It was really, really good, really funny. So I'll definitely be watching more Jujutsu Kaisen, and there's a couple more shows I'm interested in. We already talked about Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero. Helk, remember that manga you told me to read randomly, and I was like, this manga's really good. The anime's starting, so I'll be watching that as well. So there's a couple things to watch.
I should watch that too, just for the sake of me bringing it to your attention.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it next week then. But yeah, let's wrap up what you've been. Okay, before we get to our main segment, let's talk about next week. Next week, we're going to read the second collection of Ryuko by Eldo Yoshimizu, and that will complete our Ryuko retrospective. So look forward to that next week. There was something I was going to mention before we go to break. Oh, I want to give a shout out to... You mentioned Amber earlier, who got you that house in the back. That was before the YouTube stream was working with sound.
Hell yeah.
But Amber, our friend, your friend Amber, and our podcast friend Marion, Microwavy, they started a podcast.
Yep.
They started a podcast together called Soju Wanna Read Manhwa. They're doing a manhwa podcast now. Just want to give a quick shout out to that and make sure people check it out. Their first episode is out, and I guess they're doing a monthly schedule?
Yes, monthly schedules, and they're alternating between like action titles and romance titles.
Yeah, Korean comics covered on a podcast, and episode 1 they did is on Solo Leveling, which will be having an anime soon. Super popular manhwa. Put out by Yen Press. Yen Press plug right here. Mark it off your bingo card. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be starting our retrospective on Ryuko. Stay tuned. Okay, everybody, we are back. And we're starting a retrospective on Ryuko, a manga by Eldo Yoshimizu. So, I knew nothing about this manga. Showed up on our Google Doc for, like, potential episode stuff. Seamus, you must have put this on here. Correct?
I guess so. If you didn't do it and Dark Fox didn't do it, then it must have been me.
Unless Morgana secretly did it and she's going to come back later and be like, oh yeah, I totally added that.
I feel like Ryuko would be a character Morgana would dig. So there's a slim chance that might have happened.
Yes. But last week we kind of like guessed that Seamus, you had put it on and then you had heard about it somewhere and then probably forgot about where you heard it from.
That's usually how it goes.
In any case, I'm really glad you put it on here. I have a lot of things to say about this manga. Let me give some information about it first. So this manga is by Eldo Yoshimizu, who is traditionally an illustrator, painter,
He's a sculptor as well.
Yeah, he does a bunch of. He is an artiste, but he does not traditionally do manga. Though he has like drawn and made this character of Ryuko before in his art, and decided to make a comic out of this, like make a manga out of this. And so this is all created analog, no digital, just like all with inks and paint and brushes and paints and everything. And let's see, it came out first in France, which I think is really interesting. It did a French run and then it did a worldwide run first. And right now it's finally being published in Japan. I think under, what was it, Torch? Yeah, to-ti.in. It's a manga website for like more independent stuff. I think this is run by Shuzo. Wait, he's the guy who did say hello to Blackjack. Shuho Sato, yeah. Pretty sure he runs this. I could be wrong. So it's an interesting manga because like it came out in France first and then went around the world and then finally is coming out in Japan. Also, we got really confused when we were prepping for this episode because I followed Eldo Yoshimizu on Twitter, and then he was tweeting this week. It's like, oh yeah, I'm getting ready for Ryuko 3. I was like, what? Wait. We don't usually do retrospectives unless the work is finished. And the English editions of this manga are put out by Titan Comics. And it does say, like, oh, it's, you know, a two-parter. 1 and 2 completes the story. But I guess Eldo Yoshimizu is currently making more Ryuko manga.
Like a post-completion continuation
Of the story, it seems that way. I kind of peeked ahead because I picked up both volumes of this. And it seems like the story does finish in volume 2. I hope it does. It's going to be a real awkward retrospective when we next week when we're like, oh, guess it's not finished. This retrospective is on hold until the third volume comes out. But yeah, let me read the copy and give the localization credits. So, over on Titan Comics website, it says, a loving manga homage to film noir and Japanese gangster cinema from famed Japanese artist Eldo Yoshimizu and Hard Case Crime. The bloody and beautiful saga of a Yakuza princess. Ryuko is a hard-hitting motorcycle-riding member of the Japanese mafia, but after a criminal operation in the Middle East turns explosive, she must return home to face Chinese gangsters, unknown terrorists, and her own personal demons. Part 1 of a two-part criminal saga packed with international intrigue, complex morality, and blistering action. For the localization credits, the only thing they really have here is translation by Motoko Tamamuro and Jonathan Clements. I was looking for a letter credit, and I saw something over on my anime list, but I don't know if it's correct or not, so I'm just not going to list it. All the other credits here for this Ryuko Volume 1 is just like all the editors and publicists and all the staff over at Titan Comics, which I believe is a UK publisher. But yeah, let's talk about Ryuko Volume 1. I'm going to throw to Seamus first. Seamus, what do you think of Ryuko Volume 1?
I don't think they mention it anywhere, but I have a strong suspicion this might be based on an Italian comic called Valentina. I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Guido Crepex? Crepex? No idea how to pronounce his second name. Like, I haven't actually read it myself, but I read about it, and I was reading this manga, and I was like, this reminds me of something. I was like, it's a bit like Black Lagoon, but not really. And then I was like, oh fuck, I think it might be Valentina is the connection. Because it was like a very popular like Italian comic in like the 70s that was, you know, about this very like sexy lady who like went around in, you know, shooting people and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
International adventures. But I haven't actually read it yet. I think they have like, I don't know who's publishing like the complete edition, but But I was just thinking Black Lagoon, particularly when it was like, oh, it's Afghanistan.
Also, the girls in bikinis.
Not really. I think it was more like Ryuko herself. Kind of remind me of, is it
Letty.
Eddie?
Wait,
But
Letty is from Fast and Furious.
no, wait. Who's the Black Lagoon? Like the one with two
Levy.
guns. She's like
Levy.
Levy.
Okay, so it's similar. I wasn't completely wrong.
Like her combined with the Yakuza daughter from like later in the series when they go to Japan.
Yes, I remember that part in Black Lagoon.
Plus the whole like black. I feel like instead of like this made up Southeast Asia country, it's like, hey, it's this made up like country on the Black Sea. Oh, just keep going off tangents on this. Who cares?
Yeah.
There's actually a podcast that's, I think they've released 2 episodes, or at least 2 episodes free, called Other Matters, UDDER. It's about the like image company Top Cow, who published Darkness and Witchblade like starting back in the 90s. But I was like listening to it while reading this, because they have a whole thing talking about how like in the 90s Marvel and DC and Image were struggling with sales, and then Witchblade came out, and Witchblade sold really well, and they didn't put it this way, but basically, boys who started reading comics in the 80s, by the 90s their balls had dropped, and they were like, yeah, we're into like reading comics about like scantily clad women who like, you know, badass women going around murdering. Got me thinking about this as well. But that's actually worth checking out purely from a point of view of like they're literally going through like the history of Top Cow in terms of like how it was born, and where the idea of Witchblade came from, and like what was going on in the industry at the time and going on with Image at the time. There are 2 episodes. They're 2 comic critics. I think it's Tegan O'Neill and Claire Napier, I think her second name is. You can find them on YouTube. They're on YouTube. They're worth checking out if you have any interest in like Image history or like American 90s comics.
Interesting.
Utter madness.
Is that how you describe Ryuko?
No, I wasn't thinking of cattle now. Or I guess to be fair, she doesn't have a particularly big pair of tits, does she?
No, she's more slender.
Yeah.
Honestly, the design of like all the buxom babes in this series reminds me a lot of like Leiji Matsumoto. Oh my god, I can't think. Leiji Matsumoto. Okay, I was correct. The creator of Galaxy Express 999, and we read
Queen Esmeralda.
Yes, thank you. Having a brain fart right there.
Daft
Even
Punk
the-
music videos.
Even the opening page, there's like a scroll that has like text on it explaining like, 18 years ago, and I was like, I remember those from like the Leiji Matsumoto, the narrator, coming in. But also, I don't remember Leiji Matsumoto drawing such crazy fucking action scenes with super dynamic paneling made up of characters' body parts, which happens quite often in this Ryuko. Dar, what did you think of Ryuko?
I liked it. It's definitely felt more style over substance than anything, but that's fine. And
It's not style over substance, it's style as substance.
okay, I mean, yeah, that might be accurate with this, and some of the books like this. I mean, I generally just enjoyed the Ryuko character, and kind of seeing her deal with what's thrown her way, and then seeing her deal with what's thrown her way, and like the way action is drawn is almost like, because on screen you should see the cover of Ryuko, and you mentioned that she's a pretty slender build, sexy lady, but she's kind of like drawn like this like really tall, slender build type, body, and when there's action, it's almost like it kind of like it almost like it bends into like an attack or a dodge. It's almost like you're watching like Gumby or something like very cartoonish, but the way it's captured in the panels, it's actually like it's really cool and stylish. I'll look for some examples later to put up on the panel or put up on the stream, but yeah, I just really liked looking at it. Honestly, I don't have too much deep stuff to say about it. Besides the fact that I was surprised how much backstory they were giving Ryuko, and kind of like the stuff that happened in the Middle Eastern the country, and those more like I saw it in the beginning, and I like that's kind of an interesting setup, and the fact that they had I think at least two other flashbacks that went into that, I was surprised. I didn't think they were gonna do that. So I guess there is substance in the backstory and the plot and stuff, but yeah, I like it when she kind of goes like this, and then like her hair is just like this bended thing, and her whole body is bending as well. It's really cool looking.
I have a good example for you to put up on stream, which is page 92. And it's a 2-page spread where Ryuko learns some hard truths about like her past. And she's holding a gun to her head, and she's crying, and it's almost like all white except for her hair, which has been, it's not black, it's just a shit ton of like, it looks like flowers and feathers and everything. It looks amazing. Yeah, that's the image, Star. That's a great like single art piece. That looks so good. You can tell Eldo Yoshimitsu is like a person who does art, because yeah, Seamus said style as substance is a great way to describe this manga. It's fantastic. Right from the beginning when oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, also like the way she's crying and the tears are kind of like becoming part of the gun. They're almost like going all the way down the gun to like the hammer. It's very like almost surreal.
Yeah, it's this manga looks great. Like I usually flip through my manga super fast, as you know, but I took my sweet ass time looking at every page for this thing, because I wanted to absorb every panel and every choice Eldo Yoshimitsu was doing. Like with the perspectives, some of the like fights. I will say I got hit with a little bit of Yasuhiro Naito-ism there, where I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at.
Okay, I kind of agree, but with Naito, and I always talk so much shit about Naito, even though like I'm the biggest fan.
We like Trigon, we
yeah.
like Blockade Battlefront. He's a good manga artist, but he's easy to punch down on with his weird paneling choices.
With Yasuhiro Naito, it didn't feel like he was cooking. It kind of felt like he forgot the ingredients and he just put them on there. When I see Ryuko, and it's kind of confusing panels, and kind of like it looks like the RS is cooking. It looks like they're trying to do something, and I haven't quite figured it out. I'm looking at it, and I'm gonna get there. It's different. I feel there's more artistic flair and intent with the kind of busy stuff that happened in this comic.
I kind of agree with you, Dakazu, but it's like it's a bit hard to understand at times. But the rest of it is so good, I couldn't really give a fuck. It's like, you know, to use a wrestling analogy, you know, sometimes in a match someone botches a move, but you're like, oh, who gives a fuck? Everything else they do. So it's like, you know, when you're trying for a lot of things, it doesn't work out. But as long as you get like more hits and misses, like I'm not too pushed.
There's a scene where it cuts to different characters than Ryuko. We follow like this ex-Russian special forces guy who sees this exotic dancer, and she chases him out into the rain, and she has this umbrella that has like crazy patterns on it. And at one moment she drops that umbrella, and then it's just like the background for like the panel when the guy picks it up. It looks so good. Like just like little choices where like you wouldn't expect a regular manga to put such an effort into making that umbrella pattern so exquisite and unique. and like Aldo Yoshimizu is cooking those backgrounds, like you said, Dark Fox. Like he knows what he's doing. He's like, you know, even if this person is holding a gun, even if it's a nighttime shot of like a rainy, you know, neon city, I'm going to draw this and I'm going to draw it right. You can tell this is drawn by one person. It has the same like consistency or like cohesion you get from something like Q Hayashida, because she doesn't use assistants, she draws by herself. A couple other... go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, because you're talking about perspective there, and there's that bit where that she tries to like shoot him, and like the whatchamacallit, the magazine is like dropping.
Yeah.
Like, I'm struggling to tell you, but like the way he kind of like layers, like for some of the, it's like panels and pages, he like layers of stuff on top of each other, where like clearly a progression in terms of like time, but it's all like there's no like panel A to panel B. It's just like the way that like one image is layered on top of the other, or like the bit at the, I think there's a bit very early on where it's one of the two girls. Is like I can't remember their names. One begins with S and V.
Sasori and Valor?
Yes, and I think Ryuko was like, "Oh, I took you out of the ghetto," and it's like her on the ground on the bottom of the panel, but then the rest of the panel is almost like a flashback, like image to like Ryuko or Ryuko, like I don't know, picking her up out of the ghetto or something.
It looks great. It looks great. Even like the choice of like sound effects and onomatopoeias, they look fantastic. Like, it's so good. Visually, this manga is like fucking 12 out of 10. It is like, it is the main reason you want to come to this manga, is the main reason I want to recommend it. People should get to experience Aldo Yoshimizu's like art. It is stylish, it is beautiful, it is very cool. Dar mentioned that story is kind of whatever, and you know, it is kind of whatever. There's a twist about Ryuko's past, where she was mad at her dad, but it turns out it was just to protect her mom. Is it the case where the mom betrayed the dad and the Ryuko, or is it just that she's being held hostage and now she needs to be saved?
Maybe to be to determine that she was being held hostage, but
Because I guess she's connected with the Chinese mafia.
yeah, it may in fact be a twist.
Yeah, Ryuko goes back to Japan to get revenge on this guy who her father got betrayed by. And they say, like, oh, this man in, like, the wheelchair is the man you're looking for. But he got fucked over by the Chinese syndicate, so... This volume 1 ends with, like, the Chinese syndicate coming into play, even though we didn't see them up till now. I have one complaint about this manga. It's the lettering. Seamus Star Fox, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the lettering, I think the translation is good. The translation is good. I think I noticed like maybe one mistranslation, and it was like a random sound effect. But the choice of like lettering, especially for the sound effect, effort to kind of match Aldo Yoshimizu's like sound effects. You know how when manga gets licensed by Viz, they have a rule that they have to like redraw all the sound effects and try to present it in style. It's hard work. It's hard to do. But in this case, whoever did the lettering here did not try to match at all. They just put the sound effects on top of the Japanese sound effects, and most cases it's like next to them and it's okay. Other cases it's like I just question why it's like part way into like an explosion of like gunfire that Ryuko is shooting. There's a blam bam bam that goes into it. I'm like, I think there was a part where someone's shooting off a rocket and they put the explosion in where the rocket is, and I was like, why did you do that? There's nothing there, but they put like the explosion there. Oh yeah, it's when the military comes to attack Ryuko, at the beginning, a guy shoots off a rocket. There's no sound effect but for this in Japanese, but they added an English sound effect of "voom," where like he's shooting the rocket, and I was like, why the fuck is this here? Why did you put it here in this open space? I don't know. It just felt like it was like lettered by somebody who wasn't. I don't know. I've seen, how like I guess I'm spoiled by the Viz lettering or better manga letterers who like try to either match style, or that they're gonna put in like the sound effects. They're not gonna try and cover up the art. I noticed it a lot, but that's probably because I'm Japanese. I can read the Japanese sound effects, and you're covering up Eldo Yoshimizu's sound effects, and I was mad about that. So I was not a fan of that. I think that was kind of a disappointment because everything else about this manga is so good, so good. I can't believe I haven't heard anything about this manga before, but I guess it makes sense because it hasn't come out in Japan until now. Very recently.
I think Titan Comics are. I've definitely read stuff by them before, but they're not like a manga publisher, I think. Or they don't publish a whole lot of manga.
Yeah, I was looking at their manga catalog on their website and it seemed like they had a very limited run, so my guess is whoever was lettering this works with more Western comics and like is used to the Western style or whatever. So feels kind of like a dated way of doing the lettering compared to like more modern like techniques that they use now for other manga or more popular manga.
Oh, actually, another thing I want to mention about his style. It reminds me a bit of Awkward Inner Chambers. Or maybe it's more of a... I can't remember this came up before around, like, we're talking about some, like, Morgana was mentioning this around, like, Shoujo or Josei in general, but, like, the way they kind of have, like, the characters, like, fade into, like, a white background.
Yes.
Uses that a few times. I feel like it's very... It was odd seeing it here, given it's something that I, like, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that because he's not, like, a manga person, he's, like, I'm just going to, like, do interesting stuff and not to... And probably also the fact he's not published in, like, a particular magazine, so he basically can do whatever the fuck he wants, and they can't be like, well, that's not really fitting our magazine style. He's like, I don't have to worry about magazine, I just do it.
Yeah. I kind of got the feeling that maybe Eldo Yoshimizu read... he's an older gentleman, so maybe he read some Leiji Matsumoto manga, and that's, like, kind of his, like, influence of, like, kind of, like, the way characters are drawn or some of, like, that stuff. But as far as, like, the styling of the paneling and the way he sets up his shots in action is, like, it's very good. And I see, like, more influence of, like, movies and cinema and those styles. Like, there at the end of this volume 1, there's a car chase scene. There's a wonderful shot of I think Sasori is driving the car, and like it's a top-down view from like right above her head, and she's like stepping on the pedals and like her arms on like the steering wheel. It's like interior shot of the car, but it's almost like stretched out because of the speed. It all looks great,
and it's like accurate clutching of the stick shift.
Yep.
Definitely a high cool factor on that.
In terms of the story, do you have anything to say about the Afghan part?
It did feel weirdly enough, because you were watching Rambo 2 last night and Rambo 3 came up. That came to mind. But I think for me that was the bit that, particularly when they did the whole backstory with Jermaine, I was like, this is very Black Lagoon, because you had the whole Russian mob, the whole Russian gangsters were all like ex-Soviet people who were like in Afghanistan, and that's how they ended up in
here, yeah.
That's how they ended up in whatever Southeast Asia after the fact. But even them going to the Middle East, it felt like, yeah, that did feel very Black Lagoon to me. It's like this kind of location that's like not, it's like on the edge of like quote unquote civilization. It's like, oh, Southeast Asia, down like the Straits of whatever Malacca, or like the pirates are, or it's the Black Sea in like this vaguely Arabic like Muslim country, where they have like a dictator who's been overthrown. But it turns out he was like not that bad a guy in the ends.
Yeah, a lot of like elastic morality in this.
Yeah, and then the Afghanistan scene where like she comes in with the horse with her father and gets some like Chinese sword or it's yeah. Oh no, sorry, the sword in China is a sword Chinese or is it?
No,
No,
I thought
it's like
it's
it's
supposed to be
famous
Middle
Afghan
Eastern.
sword.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
she just cuts a guy's head off like clean or one swipe.
That
Yes.
was a scene, Dario, you were talking about with like a million strands of hair all moving. Looks so cool.
If watching the stream, I'm gonna imitate the panel. She just kind of like twists.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff. Good stuff there.
You know what it kind of reminded me of is like I was gonna say old James Bond movies, but I guess to a certain extent that's just like what more maybe like a lot of sort of like the whole like globe-trotting spy like thriller kind of espionage thing.
It actually reminded me of not a lot, but like that aspect reminded me of like Go 13. Just kind of that sensibility of like violence and sexiness and like coolness and also international like up to no good stuff. It's just like that like that lexicon of like storytelling.
Do you guys notice the difference because this is done analog and it's very obvious with some of the scenes of like
It
just the
reminded me a
blank?
bit of what was that manga we read? F or I am John Cantaline. What was
Yes,
the
F.
or like it was all done in like it was a biro he used.
Yeah, he used like a traditional ballpoint pen.
Yes. There's definitely parts of it that remind me a bit of that in terms of the look of it. But there's other parts like I think it's maybe it's more early on. I feel like I'm thinking now of like when we're talking about QI Sheeta before and how like in certain chapters or certain parts of her runs you always see her being like, oh, this time I'm just going to do this because I feel like early on in the manga he's like very heavy on the screen tone. But I really need to like go back through it again just to see like at some point to see like, oh, I'm just going to lay off it now. And it was just maybe at that point in time he was like, you know what, I'm going to use a lot of screen tone for us. Why not?
It does seem to be the case, and then like kind of toward the end of that first, whatever Saudi country dictatorship part, and cutting the flashbacks, it seems to do more white backgrounds, more black and white contrast, less screen tones. There's a motorcycle chase scene in the middle, or Ryuko is like running down on a motorcycle, and that's made with like black inks. It looks fantastic, so good. And then like there's a shot of like the Yakuza goon getting out of his car on a bridge, and the way the bridge is drawn, like the perspective of that, like looking up at the bridge and like all the wires like spread out because of like the kind of like a fisheye lens, also looks fantastic. I can't say enough about the art. The art is so good. It's so good. It's funny. It's like, you know, why, if you're listening to this, you should 100% buy this manga. You will. It probably looks even better on physical paper because we read the digital editions, and even on digital, like it fucking pops. It looks so great. I feel like kind of a dummy for not having better vocabulary about like, it's so cool. Dar, don't you think Morgana would actually enjoy this?
Yeah, it's a cool chick book.
I think she would get a kick out of the art. I think the art is just so good.
Actually, he's another manga because I was looking him up. They came out, I think, last year. Where it's so the plot is like these 5 guardians, spirits of Earth, are like coming together to be like, all right, we need to like get rid of humanity. And one of them is like, ah, no, fuck it, we're killing everything. And the other ones are like, nah, we can't be doing that. And then they have to stop it. But it's also, I was like, it's such a, I don't know what's the word, like so different from like the premise of this. Like Pin.
Henkai Pan. You know what? I feel like we should read everything that Eldo Yoshimitsu has out. Because it's so good. I would totally do a one-shot on this Henkai Pon just based on how good Ryuko is. This reading this volume of Ryuko has made me a fan of Eldo Yoshimitsu. He is now a manga creator that is on my radar for sure. I want to see what else he's done.
Were you able to see, like, looking him up in Japanese? Does he have much other stuff beyond Ryukyu and this? And
No,
that's
the thing. Like I was doing research, and he's very unknown in Japan because he made his debut in France, and like he's more active in like outside of Japan. That's probably why I haven't heard about Eldo Yoshimitsu till now. He didn't start drawing manga till he was 45. That's wild. At 45, he decided to like finally take this Ryuko character and make a manga out of it, and like, holy cow, it's so good. It's so good. I don't have anything else to say really because I feel like we just covered everything. Dar, is there other things you want to mention about Ryuko?
Not really. We kind of covered our bases.
Yeah, I'm glad Seamus brought all like the other media and possible like influences that
I'm
Yoshimitsu
thinking
might
maybe I
have
should
been
just
taken
like
from.
buy that first volume of that Valentina stuff to be like, is that actually true? Like, I've only seen a few panels of it, but I definitely was like, this is very familiar. Just based on like, you know, sexy lady going around doing gun crime.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that next week. But yeah, I guess there's nothing more to say about this first volume of Ryuko, except that we love it, and I can't wait to read volume 2 next week. And I hope it's like concluded. We're gonna be in for a big shock if this is it's an ongoing thing and we didn't know. But I guess we'll talk about that next week. All right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it then. It's kind of a short episode for the retrospective, but I just cannot say enough good things about Ryuko, and I think people should read this because you have to look at it to appreciate how good it is. But yeah, let's end the episode. I want to thank Darfox and Seamus for being here this week. Reminder that next week we will hopefully conclude Ryuko for this retrospective. If you enjoyed our podcast, make sure you subscribe to us, rate us, review us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you can find us. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Buy us a coffee to support us, ko-fi.com/mangamac. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv. We're looking for more subscribers, please. Come join our Discord server, discord.me/mangamac. You can come play Mahjong with us on Mondays. Come talk to us. We have an Instagram now. Darfox, what is it again?
It's at Manga Mac Podcast, just like the Twitter.
Okay, yeah, and follow us on Twitter at Manga Mac Podcast, Manga MAC Podcast.
And we also have a Threads, if you care about that. It's the new Twitter competitor from Meta. It's like the same account from like the Instagram, so it's at Manga Mac Podcast.
Okay, yeah, we have Threads now too. Of course, on Twitter at Manga Mac Podcast, and also what else? We forgot something.
Did we say Kofi?
We say coffee, yeah. Oh, the email. I already mentioned it at the beginning, but yeah. Or you can send us emails, mangamachinations@gmail.com. Yep, Darfox put up the coffee subscribers. Thank you Druid, Mia, Wyatt, Philip, Vicky Dalton, Dr. Meltface, Poor Mexican 72. Thank you for contributing to our podcast by buying us a coffee. And you can follow my personal Twitter at Dakazoo, follow Darfox at Darfox8, and follow Seamus at Seamus2389. Seamus is spelled without an H. Alright everyone, thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye bye!